All right. Good afternoon. This is Penelope Flynn, co-host and moderator of Discussions from the Otherhood. I'm here with the remainder of the Blurred Assassins next door. We've got James and Otto and Sonia. Maybe Nikki and Cranston will jump in later. We'll see. But now, today, we're going to talk about a few of our favorite scenes. And if you'd read the notes for the show, we have our favorite characters. Sometimes we have our favorite films, but sometimes we have our favorite scenes that don't have either that aren't our favorite film or television show, and don't have our favorite actors or characters in them. So that's what we're discussing today. Be ready. But first, again, we're going to talk about the weather. James, you're up top. How's the weather?
All right, right now it's 54 degrees. It's overcast,
Mm.
and it seems like we've pivoted away from cold weather because the last couple of days it's been like in the 70s, and we scratched the 80s one day.
All right. Sounds good for the moment. Because when it gets later, it won't be good, and then we'll all be complaining. But for now, that's all right. How about you, Otto? How's the weather?
It's pretty pleasant. It was like 79 degrees right now.
Mhm.
It's a little warmer than I prefer. I don't. It's April. It's a little too soon to be 80 degrees, but it's sunny. It's not too bad.
Mhm.
And people. I was thinking the other day, last night, when it was warmer, that cold showers. People say cold showers are for
Mhm.
one thing, but actually they could be for other things too, like cooling the hell off.
Yeah, it's getting warm. It's getting warm. And how about you, Sonia? Do you have warm, hot, somewhere in between?
Today it's somewhere in between. Thursday and Friday just barely missed 80, then it went down to 40, and now it's like 56-ish. So it's actually a nice day today. The sun just came out finally, so yeah, it's going to be a nice day.
Cool. All right. Well, again, we're waiting for either Cranston or Nikki to show up, but we can get started without them. We will discuss a little bit of our favorite scenes from films, and it may not have to be your favorite film, but a favorite scene that you have from film or television. It can be either because of the visuals, it can be because of the witty banter, the lines, or whatever it is that makes that scene stand out to you. And right now, since you are at the top, uh, James, I'll start. Well, because Otto, I guess, moved to the top. Otto, I'll start with you.
Well, I could see to our Mr. James
All right, let's concede to
from
James. Let
from a
James
long
get it
ago.
started.
Yeah, because I know his stuff. His stuff is gonna be super eclectic,
Uh-huh. Or
and
crazy.
yeah, it's not gonna be like normal. So mine is gonna be more close to normal, but
Uh-huh.
I want to see what he has to say.
Okay.
All right, well, of course, this that we're discussing is going to be controversial
Hmm.
because with me, I have a strange sense of humor.
Yes.
Okay, so I might as well. Well, first of all, what people find horrendous or disturbing, I find sometimes hilarious. The scenes that weren't
See,
meant to be funny are hilarious to me sometimes. But
see,
then I also have some serious scenes too. So I might as well start with the serious scene.
Okay.
Um, the scene from Doctor Zhivago when they get to I guess it's the mansion or winter home,
Hmm.
and it's like covered in snow. Okay, if you see it in like what they call the letterbox effect, it's really, to me, is fabulous. It's a beautiful scene, and you can tell they put a lot into the production into creating the scene. Because it's the snow has even gotten inside the house, and I don't know whether it was real snow or styrofoam or foam, but it's a beautiful scene.
I never
Um,
seen the movie,
Hmm.
I never seen the movie. So is it a scene? Is it a long scene? Is it accompanied by music? And what was the scene for? I mean, is it just like he
Well,
ran into the house?
from what I remember, because I haven't seen it in a while, it's basically the scene is, the Russian Revolution, and basically Dr. Zhivago, they're looking for a place pretty much to hide out for a while, you know, because it's upheaval in Moscow, and really, when you look at it, it's a lot of scenes in Dr. Zhivago that it's just a lot of vast scenes, a lot of scenes that television didn't do Dr. Zhivago a good turn when it first came on TV, because that was before a lot of television and videos had went to the letterbox effect, so the scenes were kind of scrunched in together. But it's movies like that, and uh even though I'm not too crazy about Lawrence of Arabia, where the scenery helps to create, it helps to create the scene, so to speak. And that's what I kind of think a lot of directors, in these days and times, they don't really focus on. Now, the scenes that I find hilarious,
Hmm.
of course, we know with the birds.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Just
yep,
sad, man. It's like
yeah,
it's a comedy, but come on.
yeah. I'm sorry when the crows are chasing the kids down the street, I
That's,
just get a
that's
chuckle
yeah.
out of it. Just like with another Hitchcock movie, was it Saboteur, I think, with Robert Cummings.
Uh-huh.
The scene at the end where they're at the top of the Statue of Liberty,
Yes.
and all of a sudden now he has to save this man that's been trying to kill him. But the man's coat sleeve, I don't know what tailor or where he got that suit from.
Down Delancey Street.
Yeah, but maybe the 99-cent store.
Yeah.
Wherever if he survived it, at the least he should have wrote a strong a
Yeah.
strong letter of reprimand. Because how is it, the coat sleeve starts to tear,
Yeah.
and it's not. And see, here's the thing: it's not just that. Okay, the coat sleeve tears and he falls to his doom. But if you go back and see it, right
Mhm.
before he's hitting the ground, a gust of wind kind of flips him around.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
I'm sorry, I just find it
It's,
hilarious.
I don't. It's not funny to me. But the fact of the matter is that the dude's suit starts to rip at the
Right?
seams.
Yeah.
The seams,
Yeah.
which is like the reinforced and the most
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
strong part.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's supposed to be the strongest part of the suit. But again, it's just that when he's falling, a gust of wind kind of turns him around.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
that's kind of telling you no, it's telling him no.
Yeah.
Not only is he
Okay.
screwed, but
Yeah.
he's really screwed.
Okay. It's
and that tells you how
terrible.
messed up James's
Yeah.
sensibility. Yeah,
Well, you know what?
gruesome.
You know what though? But that reminds me of a scene that we all kind of, laugh at from King Kong. Remember that when the guys,
Oh my
King
God,
Kong's
yeah,
the guys are on the log and he's chasing them
That's
all down
another
there,
one.
and they're trying to hold on. He's shaking the log, and then
I
like
tell you,
the final guy falls.
yeah.
Yeah.
In our
Uh-huh.
house, King Kong. Watch King Kong like it came on during the holidays. Why it came on during the holidays? I don't know. I don't know why it was a holiday movie, but it was a holiday movie, and everybody in my house, just waited for that scene because
So
Yeah,
awful.
and,
back then you couldn't speed it up or slow it.
And I
But
go,
they're waiting for that
he
scene.
hits the ground and goes, "Ooh,"
Yeah,
100%.
and see that's another thing,
That is
with
awful.
that scene. But see, what makes it kind of funny is that it's they're using dolls. Okay, they're using dolls, and it seems like somebody just went to Gimbals or FAO Sports and got dolls and put them in clothes similar to the actors. And then the hollering is kind of funny too, because they're like, oh, oh,
No. You know what? It's like this. In our house, we said you got the logs. He's the last guy on the log, and he
Yep.
flips. King Kong gets totally pissed, and he just
Yeah.
said, "You know what? Let's knock the whole damn log off." So the guy is on the log and is falling, and he sees what's down below, and he goes, "Ah!" And then he looks up and he sees the log. Oh, and the movie
So sad.
kind of adds to that because there's no music to that or anything or I don't know
And
whether they're
that
trying to
one,
be serious
yeah.
or trying to be funny. I
Hmm.
don't know,
Yeah,
but
but
that damn thing was funny.
I mean, it's supposed to be scary, but
yeah, it was supposed to be scary.
yeah.
But I tell you though, I think what would have changed things is if they would have kept the scene that they cut, the tarantula scene. Okay, because it was supposed to be after they hit the bottom
Mhm.
of the valley or whatever that was. Tarantulas were supposed to come out and eat them.
What?
Okay, yeah, you never heard of this?
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
I
Yeah,
didn't.
yeah.
yeah. In fact, the only the only thing left from that scene is like a couple of still photos.
And
Okay,
wasn't
So
that
but
why didn't
the thing
they?
climbing up? The thing climbing up, and the dude cut the rope.
yeah, I don't know what claymation thing that was. That's what made things kind of funny because that you could see was somebody came up with that at the last minute. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But no,
Did
the
they
scene
say why they cut it? Is it because
they
it's gruesome or something? Or
yeah they said that I believe they said that they had showed the film to a test audience and that just freaked the audience out, so they re-edited the movie and cut that scene. And I guess what was left went down to the cutting room floor, as they say.
mm,
I think I could be wrong, but what is it? Peter Jackson that did the remake.
mhm.
Yeah.
I think as a bonus feature in the DVD, they've included that scene. They
Mhm.
recreated that scene. But yeah, they cut that scene from it because it was just too gruesome for audiences. That's
Yeah,
why we can laugh at. That's why we can laugh at the scene as it is in the movie.
Well,
yeah. I can see that. You good thing you take your kids to the movies and they see people being eaten, their bodies were eaten by tarantulas. That'd be kind of rough,
well,
you know.
King Kong is like I don't know how many movies are like this, but it's like there are a lot of stuff cut from King Kong, man. Especially when it reached on air
Yeah,
that you saw. I mean,
yeah,
there's parts of it where he breaks from his I guess his cage or whatever his place, and he goes
Mhm.
around and he eats the natives and stuff. They cut that part out,
Yeah, I
they
think
didn't
that's a good
show it.
idea.
I didn't think that was a good idea. I didn't think that was a good idea, and the reason I don't think it was a good idea because he does the same thing to the people in New York. So why
Oh,
cut
you're
it out?
right, and then it shows that he does it to everybody.
He don't give a damn. He
Right,
eating you. He
that
chewing
makes
on you. He don't
sense.
give a damn. He got look. He's an equal opportunity killer.
Yeah,
You know.
I think that makes sense.
And then the part where he like taking Fay Ray's clothes off. They thought it was too titillating, so they cut that part out.
Uh,
And I saw it, and it didn't look to my sensibilities.
well, I mean, you know what? I don't understand what you're saying. To your
Yeah.
sensibilities, it was not. But understand for these people, I mean, let's say, let's say, we know who they're looking at this thing, and some of them are saying this is supposed to be, some allegory. That's kind of like a black man doing this thing to her.
I
So,
was getting ready to say, yeah.
Oh, that's why y'all think it was?
yeah, I think that's
Well,
right.
well, come on. Some people in this country, have like a kind of crazy psychotic thing about black people anyway, and they
Yep.
see things that are not there. So if you got King Kong taking off her clothes with that big black finger,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm thinking. I'm just thinking about that. She's showing a little much, too much, butt cheek and too much leg. That's what I'm thinking. You know,
Maybe that too. Maybe it couldn't get past the censors.
yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, man, he's really
But I don't
trying.
know
He's basically undressing her. It's like,
because I remember this time that we were looking at some movie posters. I think it was earlier last year. I remember going through these certain movie posters, and there was this movie poster that was done in, I think, Italy for King Kong. And basically, that thing they made a King Kong. They didn't make it look like the King Kong that was in the film, but it's almost like they tried to make it approximate looking like a black man. I did not like that at
there you
all.
go. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, they really like narrowed the features and stuff, to make it look like a man instead of like, the giant King Kong. So yeah, that disturbed me a little bit. So I think that's probably in the heads of many of them, with the things that they do and why. And I
yeah,
agree. And maybe just
well,
she's
I
showing a
know
little bit
that.
too much leg,
I
stuff.
know that. Yeah, yeah. King. I know Sonya. I know Sonya doesn't like. Sonya doesn't like.
Mhm.
Which what? Who? I
So it
didn't
doesn't
Sonya
like
hear.
doesn't
what?
like horror films, so
No, she's not a horror buff, she said. Yeah. So that's not something maybe that she
so
is
she.
I've
Have you
never.
ever
I
seen
haven't
King
seen.
Kong?
No.
never. Have you never seen the new Godzilla
Okay,
film? The one that was like just a couple of
so
years ago? That was
What?
really good.
No.
That was really good. I mean, yeah, and it's scary and impressive. Did you get to see it, James, the Godzilla film?
The recent one.
Yes, not the most recent one that's crappy, but the one that there's things like in
Godzilla
Japan.
Time Zero.
Yeah, Jeff.
No, I didn't see that. I
Yeah,
don't know.
that.
After seeing the that abomination, which was the American King Kong back in what 90.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Yeah, that was horrendous, and it didn't help that I saw it in a movie theater in Florida too. I mean, not Florida, Virginia,
Why were you in
which
Virginia?
I was visiting my sister, and it was just a weird experience because I noticed that movie audiences down south are different from movie audiences up north, and that
In what
Depends on which city.
in what sense?
it was just a case of people were just there. They weren't really. You were just
Interacting, engaging.
yeah. They were just like watching the movie, and
Yeah,
He's
I get that because the whole point of going to the movie theater is to have that theater experience.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I would like. In fact, that's on the what's on the radar now for us is I'm gonna go see Sinners. If I have time and inclination, I actually like to go see it today because nobody can talk to me about it because I haven't seen it yet. Because it's got such great buzz. So I'm really, really interested in going to see it. So again, because that we could wait until it comes out on streaming services, but you don't get
he shot it.
um,
Yeah, he shot it specifically for IMAX. So
yeah. So to get it at that movie experience, to have it with other people, I think is important.
Have you seen it, Sonya?
I'm hoping to see it after we talk. We'll see. We were going to go see it yesterday, but we had something else in it. We were exhausted afterwards, so we said we'll try again.
We
Well,
wanted to go see it for Otto's birthday, but we weren't allowed to see anything on Otto's birthday. So
that's
yeah.
not.
So
Don't
happy
put it
belated
like.
birthday, yeah, for
Don't
you.
put it like that. That the thing is that you flew into town late.
Yeah, I flew into town, but I still would have done it.
Yeah, but I had to work. This
Oh, yeah,
was my birthday. It's not pamper day for me at the job.
okay. All right. I get
Oh,
it.
But
but I think I hear Trixie calling me upstairs.
yeah, but
Saying. But
cynic
yeah, I
cynic
still would have liked to have done it because it would have been nice to have that theater experience, for a film like that where a lot
yeah,
of people want to talk about it.
and I think to me it's important that you buy tickets.
Mhm. Yeah, important to me also that I know what day to buy tickets. So that's real important.
What do you mean, what
Yeah.
day?
Well, because people
James
don't
and I are
want
gonna
to
just
that's
slide out of the room.
Hey, Trixie, all right, I'm coming upstairs.
because
Well, it doesn't.
good when we talked about the just got a little off topic there about the theater experience, but that's another question. Do you think that because we all kind of rely a lot on streaming, YouTube, whatever now to see certain films, do you think that the theater experience itself um, helps us to enjoy certain scenes better than if we had watched it alone, or at home streaming on a smaller screen?
I've got one scene
What
when
you
in Avengers Endgame,
got?
when you hear Sam say over Cap's speaker on the left. I happened to see it at what James would put it, one of the good theaters, and instantly when people saw him come through and Black Panther right there with him, everybody in the audience went Mobambe, and I was like, yeah, that's it. And they were like, oh, and you could tell which audiences were more into Marvel than the others because everybody who was into Marvel was going Mobambe because they knew what that meant. And then all the rest of the audience cheered when Cap picked up the Molinaire. I was like, aha.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah,
it's funny when you mentioned that. It's like, what is that? You know, kind of where people are in social media and stuff. When what was the film? It was an X-Men film, and when the guy says, "I'm the Juggernaut, bitch," and
Yeah.
all the
Oh,
young people go crazy because of that "I'm the Juggernaut" bitch
yeah.
meme, and every parent's like, "Okay, well, that's nice,"
all
but they
all the
don't.
kids, all the
Yeah,
kids are crazy.
all the kids just lost it. So yeah, you're right. There's certain, where people have that added layer. And if you'd
Or
just been home and saw it by yourself, you would have known.
yeah.
But it's different when you're there and everybody else is
Everybody else
sharing,
is in on
sharing
it.
in that. Yeah, that's very cool.
It's also the movie Soul Food when mother passes and all the sisters are crying and all that. I saw it in Atlanta. Every single person was crying hysterically at the mama, mama, big mama gone and all of this stuff. So yeah, it also depends on who makes up the audience.
But do you think that that enhances like your memory or your likability of a scene because you got to see it in the room with other people?
Yeah, yeah, and it gave you a cathartic sense to know that you weren't the only one feeling, or even if it's the happy part or the sad part, you're not the only one experiencing it, so you
Right.
don't feel stupid
Yeah.
later.
Yep. Yep. Agreed. Because everybody felt it. It's
Hmm.
that group, catharsis.
Yeah.
Um, it's not one of my favorite films, but a scene that I always remember because again, it was done in a movie theater. It is the scene from uh, what's it called? Which one is it? It's not Unbreakable. Uh, the first one, uh,
Sixth Sense.
Sixth Sense. At the end, when the audience finally is aware of what has happened and everybody takes that breath,
Yeah.
the gasps all at the same time. That makes that like a really truly memorable scene for me because you just have that, and it happened only in another scene, another film with a scene similar to that. And Otto, you may help me remember the name of it. It was the film where it was like an apocalyptic type of thing, where his family was holed up in this house, black family, holed up in this house, and because everybody had this disease, and then you didn't want to get in touch with other people, they could not come to your house. And once you got the disease, then it's like your family members just had to, put you away and go through all the film with the family, and they let some people in their home, and the people did not tell them that the wife, the mother, whoever, was already contaminated.
Oh yeah,
And
I got the name of
yeah,
that film.
and I cannot remember the name of it, but at the end, at the very end, when the parents are sitting at the table and the son isn't there anymore, and everybody goes, that thing, oh no, that, one less person. So that one too had that same kind of effect. And so it's very memorable for that same reason, you know. And I mean, and I think about a film like, for instance, Hidden Figures, where
Mhm.
I like the whole movie from beginning to end, but there's no real scene in it that stand out to me. Are there? And I'm sure we all have those kinds of films that not one scene stands out, even though the whole film may be spectacular. Um,
There was one scene in there when she was chewing him out for trying to defend her, and she goes, "I can take care of myself."
mhm,
I remember seeing that in the theater, and all the women going, "Yes, you can,"
yeah.
and
And
all
again,
the
like
men.
me, like I said, I love the film, but nothing in it, scene by scene, actually stood out.
Hmm.
Which is like the opposite of Kung Fu Hustle, which is so much. I mean, it's like a feast, of plot, of character, of the scenes themselves are beautifully pulled together. But if I had to say one scene from Kung Fu Hustle, it would be when the assassins come, the ones who are playing that instrument, the two assassins, and you so as they're playing these instruments, it's like causing like they're like knives, they're coming. I mean, that is just a beautifully conceived of, beautifully executed scene. Sad, scary, but beautifully, beautifully done. So I think, I love the whole film from beginning to end. I love the scene where the landlady is chasing, the protagonist, out of the apartment complex or the slums, I guess, where they're living, and she's chasing him down the street. That is, to the side. What is the piece that they're doing? It is oh shoot, it would keep in and out of my head. Da, 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 that, and he's chasing it. They're playing this music. It's like a live action cartoon. So if you ever get the opportunity to see Kung Fu Hustle, what a great film. And all the scenes are spectacular, but I think those two. But then again, when I say that, I have to remember the very beginning when the gangster goes into the police station, and he's really showing his behind, because he's this gangster and he's doing X, Y, and Z. And when he walks out of the police station, everybody locks the doors and shuts their windows, and he realizes that he's been set up and he's out on the street while this whole other gang is coming to confront him. Beautifully, beautifully, beautifully done. I mean, it's just what a gorgeous piece of cinema that is.
Oh well, I have one,
Hmm.
and like I tell people, every time I see this scene, I start crying. Well,
Really?
actually, yeah, it's in fact it's two. Um, Near the end of Glory, when they're getting ready to storm Fort Wagner, and Matthew Broderick gets off his horse, and he just slaps the horse on the backside, and the horse goes running back to the rear. Excuse me, I just start crying.
Oh yeah, I
I
mean,
just because he knows pretty much he's not coming back.
Right.
yeah,
He
and then
knows that. So every time I see Glory, I have to kind of brace myself, and I
Hmm.
say to myself, I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry.
Hmm.
I'm not
yeah,
gonna.
yeah, I agree.
You know,
You know, and then
eh,
you got the boys choir of Harlem singing. I
yeah.
That's it
Yeah,
for me. I'm gone. That's it.
Yeah.
yeah, you know. And then the second one is Armistead, when you have the slave ship and the crew and the captain, they talk about they don't have enough food.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we got to lighten the weight. And not only do I start crying when I mean, it's bad enough that you're throwing people overboard, but you have them all chained together. And I just lose it. In fact, there was a time I couldn't even get through the whole movie. You know, I just start crying, and heaven forbid. That's why I'm glad I watched it in the house, because if I was watching it in a theater, heaven forbid a vanilla person comes walking by, because
Yeah.
I'd go to jail. It's just so horrific what's done, And real quick, everybody knows this. Another scene, and you can't tell me that it didn't affect you, is the opening of Star Wars when that Imperial battleship comes overhead.
Hmm.
Depends on when you see it, where you see it.
Yeah.
No, I think listen, I've saw it like 5 times in the movie theater. Even now, when I watch it on DVD, it just gives you that like effect, like damn,
I,
it's like
It's a life changer.
yeah,
I
It's like,
remember, yeah.
like you're underwater. It's like being held underwater
yeah.
or something like that to go over. It's like somebody holding
Yeah,
you underwater.
It's
You
like
know?
movies are
but
different. Movies are different now. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
but if you're seeing it in a movie theater where it's just a curtain separating you from the next screen over, and it's not a sound balanced room, it doesn't have the same effect. I
Really?
saw it
Like
in
the
New York
sound
City.
is.
Yeah, I saw it in New York City in one of the when the few theaters that only had one screen. So it was one of those converted theaters. I can't remember which one it was right now. But they got the Dolby effects when that they designed specially for the movie, and when it came over, you felt it over your head. So it was even more of effect. A year later, I moved to Panama City, Florida, and their triplex is showing it, and it wasn't quite the same. I
Oh
had the
well,
Mm,
memory and felt it, but
well, yeah. Well, it's like
like
this.
the-
There's certain because when I lived in the Bronx on Alton Avenue, they chopped that movie up into a multiplex or a duoplex or whatever they wanted to call it. You knew there were certain movies you could not watch in that movie theater, because even if it was a regular movie that you just like, okay, I'll go see it and whatnot. You knew it was a problem because you could hear the movie
next door.
next. Yeah, you
Hmm.
know what I'm saying? So if it was like a real popcorn summer blockbuster movie, oh no, 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 I'm going downtown.
Yeah, but I couldn't break my uncle's heart. He goes, "I've got this great new movie you need to see," and I saw it last year when it premiered in New York City.
Yeah, I mean, for mine, also like things like musicals. Like for me, Jesus Christ Superstar, which of course we watch, every Easter. I mean, it never underwhelms. I mean, Carl Anderson in the role of Judas Iscariot is just magnificent. Ted Neely, playing the role of Jesus is just great. And the scene that really just gets me all the time is when Judas is going to take the pieces of silver, and I all the time like, no, don't do it. And he takes it anyway. So there you go. So I didn't get to convince him anytime that I've watched it. But my goodness, the reprise of the song Jesus Christ Superstar at the end when Judas Iscariot and the background dancers and stuff to it, that is like such a showstopper, and I always love it. That's one of my favorite scenes. I love the entire Jesus Christ Superstar, but that scene, wow. I mean, if you have a person that plays Judas and does a great job of it, then that is just fantastic. And that one, Carl Anderson, always remember, and it's just great. I don't know if
Well,
anybody else.
yeah, I remember Yeah, I remember, of course, reading the autobiography of Malcolm X, and so the film was highly anticipated for me and a lot of other people. And the scene that got me was when Malcolm X meets Elijah Muhammad for the first time. And it just in the book he describes, meeting Elijah Muhammad for the first time. But to see Denzel Washington, the way he acted when he met Elijah Muhammad for the
Mhm.
first time, and you see what this man's life has been like before. It just basically, his nose is running, his eyes are, he's just
Very-
so, yeah,
He
it
makes
just
himself
thing just,
small, like he takes his shoulders and he like makes himself small, in the presence of this man who he says, he adores, and the term adorare, the Latin term, to love someone, to adore them. That I thought, that scene was talk about verklempt, that you want to tear up because he is now talking to this man who has basically remade him, you
yeah,
know?
yeah, and changed his life, and both
Mhm.
actors are good. Denzel is good, and I forgot the other actor's name.
Al Freeman.
Al Freeman is fantastic in it as well.
Hmm.
They're both very good in it.
Okay, and you know the little bit of trivia with Al Freeman. He played Elijah Muhammad in the movie,
Hmm.
but he played Malcolm X in, I think it was Roots, the second Roots.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know that. I know he.
Hmm.
I know Denzel played X on stage from Chickens Coming Home to Roost.
Hmm.
Yeah. And I remember people saying that when they were actually filming the autobiography of Malcolm X, that since he had done Which Was Going to Roost, he would be doing the speeches and they would just sit there and just let's do finish it. I mean, they didn't have them all, in the film. They said they everybody just sit there and just listen to him do the whole thing, even though it wasn't all in the film, that they were actually sitting there listening to him as Malcolm, you know, just because he had done the stage play and was everybody said just fantastic, you know. I wish that's something now, you'd be able to witness. I wish somebody had done like they did with Hamilton when they actually filmed the stage play, the stage version of it, because I think to see how it is on stage as opposed to it being, a film that somebody directs differently, I think it's a big, big difference, in seeing what it looks like, how it sounds.
Yeah,
So
that's one scene to me that's very my
powerful.
scenes are pretty corny. So I got that scene. Like James said, his scene from Glory also. Kind I guess you could call it corny, but it gets you in the gut. It gets you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And
yeah,
Yeah.
then yeah, and
yeah.
then the scene from Giant when the scene in the restaurant. I guess it's a
Yes.
restaurant. What it could it be
Mhm.
called? What it's not necessarily a restaurant. One
The
of these.
Sarge's restaurant, this was called.
Yeah, it's one of these places. A diner. It's a diner. That's what it is.
Diner, Sarge's Diner, yeah.
So yeah, and so you know the the Sarge is a big
Mhm.
white guy, big redneck white guy. I expect to see in movies. And the Rock Hudson family, Elizabeth Taylor family, they have some Mexican people sitting there eating with them, and I guess the tone is that they don't serve or they don't have
Mhm.
Mexican people eating in that restaurant, and the Sarge character asks Rock Hudson, "Are these people with you?" And he said, "Yeah," and he said, "Okay, go ahead and serve them." And then some
Mhm.
other Mexican people walk into the diner,
Mhm.
and they sit down to eat, and the guy goes over. He's so gruff and nasty.
Mhm.
Yeah, that guy gets the guy's hat. He said, "No, no, Pedro, or whatever his name he gives him. You got to get up and you can't eat here. We don't serve you here." And then Rock Hudson gets up and he, confronts the guy, and the guy tells Rock Hudson, "Now you go back over there. You sit down. You mind your business. We got nothing
Mhm.
to do with you." And then they start
Right.
fighting.
Yep.
And I love that scene. That shows that scene to me shows me what America thinks it is and what it wants to be, what a lot of
Mhm.
people want it to be. what it never actually achieved, but what it can be. And I
Right.
think a lot of that stuff, you don't see that scene anymore played because of a whole lot of other dynamics besides politics. People say, Rock Hudson is a gay man playing a straight man and all these other things in there. But it's like one of the best Americana scenes, you know,
Yeah.
that I've ever seen. And you put all that stuff in there with Glory and some of the other movies that are, this is what our country can be. This is what
Hmm.
we say we are to each other, but we've never achieved that. This is what we want to be.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Or this is what we thought we were.
Yes.
This is what we thought we were. We thought we
Yes.
were, but this is what we are. Today is, the lie the curtain's been pulled back. Like it's in the Wizard of Oz, the curtain's pulled back. This is what we are, but
Well,
this is what.
I think it goes going off topic here. I think real quick. I think it goes back to COVID. COVID showed that, as they say, America has a soft underbelly. Okay, the Constitution is fragile. Okay, and if you have somebody that's determined to, they can run roughshod over the supposed Constitution, and that just exposes something we never were.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, the Constitution is a very, very flawed document.
Hmm.
It has a bunch of exclusions in there, some implied exclusions, and it had some explicit inclusions, like the Runaway Slave Act and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So, I mean, it's a document. If you have people who think it's a Bible, then that's where you run into problems.
Yeah,
No, no,
and see, going back to movie scenes, one of my favorite scenes, okay, because it tells this country in a nutshell, is Watchmen. The scene where the comedian and the night owl are fighting with rioters, and all of a sudden, Night Owl says, "Well, whatever happened to the American dream?" And the comedian says, "This is the American dream."
Mm.
Okay, this is the American dream. And then going to Star Trek, the episode with the Yanks and the comms,
Yeah.
and at the end they come out with the Constitution, and it's so sacred and all this. And I brought into it as a child because coming up in during that time with NASA and
Mhm.
Apollo and civil rights, we were headed towards a better world, or at least I thought so. And
yeah,
seeing that scene in Star Trek with the Constitution, and then they bring out the American flag,
Mhm.
it made you feel, well, yeah, this is, we're progressing. We're
yeah.
progressing.
It's a trajectory, right? You
Right.
don't stay still. You don't flatline.
Right.
Your trajectory is upward, not
Yeah.
Right.
flat and not down.
Not down.
Yeah.
But at the rate we're going, we're like a rock dropped from 1,000 feet right about now.
Well, once again, not getting trying to get off topic too much, but like I said, a couple of weeks ago, and I say almost every show, is like this is necessary because you can only fool yourself for so long.
Yeah.
You need to stop fooling yourself.
Yeah. Mm.
You're
But
not doing. You're not doing any. I mean, what happened in Glory happened in Glory, right?
Hmm.
That's not fictional. That's fact. And what happened to Giant is, the story we tell about ourselves that we want to
yeah.
tell about ourselves.
Right.
That's
Right.
fictional. That should be
Hmm.
fact. That should be fact. People coming to the aid of other people that don't look like them. You know,
Right. Right.
that don't act like them. They're not them.
Right.
So That's one of my favorite scenes. The other one is another corny favorite scene. It's a lot of people may not have seen it. It's not a horror movie, so Sonia may have seen it. It's March of the Wooden Soldiers, which also is a holiday movie.
Yeah.
And so it's like when Laurel and Hardy is in the movie. I can't think, I can't imagine. No one can imagine that one of my favorite scenes would involve a Laurel and Hardy movie. But when they go in and they fight the boogeymen who are just like kicking everybody's ass, right? Just kicking, beating everybody's ass. They're stealing the rocket pie baby in the treetop. They just going buck wild, just doing whatever they want.
Or that every Thanksgiving in New York.
Yeah, every Thanksgiving. It's always, March of the Wooden Soldiers. And so the part I like the best is when, Stan Laurel goes in, he said, they're fighting them and said, what about the wooden soldiers? Because they made a mistake. It was supposed to be like 100 6-inch soldiers, and instead they made like 600 soldiers.
Yeah.
And so it's like
just like 12-inch, 100 12-inch soldiers or something like that, and they
made all the
12-foot soldier or 6-foot something.
They were 6-foot tall soldiers.
Yeah.
And so it's a mistake, and they got fired behind that. So it's like they're trying to save Toyland, and it's like you made a mistake, but it's a mistake that's going to save you. And I always like that, like in life.
But that was a very good scene. That's what you pretty much waited for when you saw it on Thanksgiving. But there's a part in that scene that scared the living shit out of me, because at one point the soldiers are attacking and they're chasing the monsters, and one soldier goes in the house and doesn't his head get knocked off?
Yeah, head comes off. I love that.
And he's still walking.
Man. That's
that was a much. I love this scene. My favorite scene in March of the Wooden Soldiers is when Stanley goes into the guy, what's his name, the bad guy's house. He sneaks in, pretending like
Silas Barnaby.
Buying Mr. Barnaby, and he marries him. He's supposedly married Bo Peep, but he puts on the veil, and it's actually Stanley under there. And then he says, as a wedding gift, they tear up the mortgage, and now they don't have the mortgage, so he can't, foreclose and kick them out of the house. And so everybody's all happy, yay. So Bo Peep, I guess her mom, or the mother, Bo Peep's mom, what's his name, Hardy, Oliver, they all get ready to leave. And so Stan gets ready to leave too. So wait a minute, you can't stay, you can't leave, you got to stay here. You're married to him now. And he said, what? I don't want to stay here. But you have to, because now you're married to him. He said, but I don't love him.
And that was the only barrier.
Yes.
I'm a kid looking at that. I'm like, wow, that's.
Yeah, I thought it was so funny, because you're thinking, but I don't love him.
Yeah, I'm thinking of a kid. A man can't marry another man.
No, he just says, but I don't love him.
I don't love him. If I love him,
I love that scene. I absolutely love that scene.
But wait a minute. There's one better at the end of, what is it? Some Like It Hot.
Yeah. Yes, that one too. Yeah, no, it's perfect.
Nobody's perfect.
But I thought that scene, I just absolutely love it. It's so funny. But I know we were talking about some of these scenes that you all say you really get into and makes you like the Glory, and the scene from which is the one that you say also you had another one, Glory as well, Otto. But mine is like in Norma Ray, when she's finally had enough and she goes into the factory and stands on her machine, the press, and holds up the sign saying Union. She doesn't say anything, she's just holding up the sign, and everybody one by one shuts off their machines. That's it.
That's what you call an iconic scene. Very iconic.
Ever. I mean, it's like, wow. No talking, no yelling, no, you must do this. is standing with the sign that says
Mm-hmm.
union, and everybody just one by one starts shutting down the machines. And I thought, wow,
Well,
wow.
another movie
Hmm.
that shows what the United States, what the country says it wants to be,
Hmm.
what it wants to be, but never actually fully realized.
Yeah.
And then we got lazy and we took things for granted, and we
Yes.
had and now we have this.
Yeah. I
You
guess
know.
because so many of us who, in my mind, thought that, okay, I have this idea about what is it I want to do for a living, what is it I want to be, how I want to contribute to this world. So we figured that's the way other people think as well.
Mm-hmm,
That,
mm-hmm.
I have a thing that I want to do, I have a talent or I have a craft, something that I can do to contribute to the world. Or if I don't want to contribute, this is just what I think I can do to make money, and take care of
Well,
myself, take care of my family. But don't realize that other people in this world that they just want to grift.
well, we know
They want to be
it's like
popular. They want people to love them. And they don't care how. And that they will, they run for political office. And we figure, well, if I ran for political office, I'd be wanting to do something for the benefit of people. But
well,
these people
Hmm.
aren't.
I
They,
think that
they
people,
don't think it's
I
for
think
that.
people, I think people think that problems are like the measles or something, right? So you got the United States Supreme Court saying that racism was a problem, and now it's no longer a problem, and so you don't need all these things like affirmative action and voting rights and all that stuff. Far, far be it from the truth.
Yeah.
So you think unions and people gathering together
Yeah.
collectively in order to protect themselves from the strength of the employer. You say, well, that's another problem got taken care of. Let's move on to the
Yeah.
next problem. And so you got
Right.
a list of problems that you keep checking and you think they're gone, but just like the measles, that shit came right back.
Yep.
It
Yep.
ain't go nowhere.
Constant booster shots throughout the entire community, in
That's what
order
this
that we
is.
don't. Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
our booster shot. What we're
Yeah.
going through right now,
Hmm.
because it
Yeah.
was
I
a
mean,
problem, but
yeah.
it didn't go away.
Right.
And so we gotta learn how to get grips on problems and eliminate them totally. I remember, I
If you
think it
don't
was
eliminate it
United
totally,
Nations
it's a, if you don't eliminate it totally, don't presume that it's eliminated. You
that
should
eliminated.
always
We
be
got to be
watching,
diligent, but it's
vigilant.
like it's
Yeah.
like United Nations saying that smallpox was
Hmm.
gone from the world, and it's just
Yep.
basically gone. But that's not true. It's not.
Right.
These problems keep on without diligent without diligent.
It's like
Uh,
a hydra. You cut off the head and another one grows.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
again, I think a lot of this goes back to COVID. Okay, COVID just brought out the best in people, and it also brought out the nastiness in people.
Hmm.
And basically, when you look at it, it's really that was America then,
Hmm.
pre COVID-19, and now it's America now. And a lot of America was like one giant frog in a pot of boiling water. We didn't
Hmm.
realize what was going on until it's too late. So it's I don't know where we're gonna go, but in fact, to use to use another good scene as as a metaphor for what I'm saying is the Poseidon adventure, the first one.
Hmm.
Okay, because when the ship capsized, and it's that one scene where the guy is, I think, hanging onto the table, and
Yeah.
yeah, that's another iconic scene. And just the fact that that whole picture, it was very strenuous on the actors because I think just to play it safe, I think Shelley Winters spent like maybe a year before she filmed it taking swimming lessons.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
gaining weight too. I think he gained
Yeah,
weight.
gaining weight too. And in fact, I would say that picture has a couple of iconic scenes. At the end with Gene Hackman where he just lets go in more
Yeah.
ways than one.
Yeah.
You know,
And
and see,
remember the iconic song that came from that movie?
yeah, yeah, which they didn't think was gonna be a hit.
Yeah.
It was
You
huge.
know,
I
yeah,
remember being in elementary school that, at the beginning of the day and the morning announcements, that they would play that. All the kids start
wow,
singing it in the morning.
really,
Yeah, the morning announcements, all the kids would sing that
And
song.
I guess people didn't know where that song came from. You know,
Everybody knew that it came from the Side Adventure. I think.
they
I
knew.
mean,
You think they knew?
I think they did. I'm not sure, but I knew it was. I
Yeah,
just I
some
thought.
people do. I mean, that song that I'm leading up to, Penelope.
No, go ahead. No.
The people that don't know the song, where the song came from. More, more,
Oh,
more.
that song.
How do you like it?
Yeah,
People don't know that's a porn song.
yeah, from porn film. That's it.
well, actually, I was when I
And
first heard it,
yeah,
I didn't know where it was
here's that.
from, but I said, yeah, that's pretty much
That's a
Yeah,
porn. That's a porn
yeah,
song.
yeah,
Yeah.
that because it sounds like 42nd Street. It sounds like the Deuce.
Yeah.
that's
Only
funny.
only thing is, it was good.
Yeah, and then it got made it to the top 40, right? So
Yeah,
yeah,
I
they
mean,
did really
they
well.
made a video. It was a video and
Mhm.
everything. There's a
Yeah,
music video for that. It has no
I don't
porn in it.
remember it. I think. Well, I don't know. I don't remember.
It don't have any porn in it, but it's a
No,
music video. Yeah.
but I think I remember it. I'll check it out afterwards.
I mean, there's a music video for everything. There's a music
Almost.
video for "This Must Be the Morning After," and I don't think it has any of the scenes, like the danger scenes from the Poseidon Adventure in it. But
Doesn't.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, that has some interesting scenes in it as well. And I know we talked about also, I think that last week before, just off the cuff about Willy Wonka. And Willy Wonka, of course, has some really interesting, iconic scenes.
oh yeah,
So, I mean, like they open the door and they first step into the candy garden with the stream and stuff. I think that
so
is
colorful,
that is one of the most
so
iconic
colorful.
scenes in film,
And
you know.
and it's so really colorful. And
Mhm.
unlike the Wizard of Oz, like the Wizard of Oz is like in black and white, and then it's in color, so it's like shockingly in color.
Yeah,
Willy Wonka is entirely in color, but it's a different kind
yes,
of color. The color,
yes.
the color that the kid lives in seems like
Mhm.
black and white, although it's a color, kind of
That's
drab
right.
color.
Grab, you
Hmm.
know,
But the color in Wonkaland is like a totally different type of color.
vibrant, alive, like a happy place. And
Yeah,
even in that part of Willy Wonka, I think that scene when, he's doing the little song, then he lets everybody pass him, and everybody, not just the children, the adults, run into this candy garden. And the children are eating the candy, the adults are all eating the candy. Because in this moment, in this film, everyone becomes a child again. And it is that scene to me
that's a
is
great scene,
truly iconic scene, you
and
know.
I can't let it go by, Penelope, about saying
Mhm.
the uh, the scene that I like also is Blade, like that really opened up the Marvel universe. The opening scene
Mhm.
for Blade,
Yeah.
where the guy gets tricked into going into the club with the vampires
Yeah,
are,
yeah.
and then Blade comes in and everything stops.
Yes. Yeah.
And Wesley Snipes is dressed in that's the most smooth leather outfit I've ever
Yeah,
seen.
yeah, yeah.
Not a wrinkle or crease in it.
Yeah, yeah.
And he just goes in and just kicking ass and killing
Yeah,
people
yeah. It's beautiful,
and
beautiful
smiling while
opening.
he's
Yeah,
doing it.
yeah. And showing all his fangs and stuff. It's like, yeah.
Well,
That that,
you
that
well,
but
you
that
know
whole
what?
film, again, a film that is beautifully, beautifully filmed. I mean, I have before that, I cannot say that seen anything like this an action type of whatever film where somebody went through the paces to properly film black skin. I mean, everyone's skin was gorgeous. Sanaa Lathan, Wesley Snipes, um, what is her place? What is her name? Nikki. Oh, what is the the one who plays Dr. Karen, Nabushe Wright. Nabushe Wright. Her.
Mhm.
Everybody's skin.
Tracy Lords was a
Treats
porn star.
everybody looks beautiful. I mean, there's this beautiful job of making everyone on screen just look beautiful. I mean, not glamorous, but beautiful.
Well,
So
who would you give credit to? Would you give credit to the makeup people, or the makeup people and the lighting people,
I
or
think, yeah, it's like
The
that tour de force of the makeup, the lighting, the directing, everything coming all together. Because you see a lot of films where you have everybody else looks, the angles look like normal, and black people come out looking like greasy or looking like dry, whatever.
The
But they just, yeah,
cinematography,
I
the
mean, it's
lighting.
indeed the person who did the cinematography, the director, cinematographer, makeup people, they just
you
wore
mean
that.
you mean
they
direct
communicated.
Yeah.
you mean the director Harry No Lotion?
I, what?
Having no look.
Yeah, you know that. You've seen it before. Some people come out and they look, some of them just like absolutely
It
just,
might as well be 12 Years a Slave, right?
yeah, exactly. It might as well be the way they have some of our people looking on screen. Like they have not bothered to get a black makeup artist anywhere on site
And a lot of
to
times they
make sure the
don't.
makeup's correct.
But let's
Hmm.
be real. A lot of times they
Yeah,
don't.
Well,
yeah. And God forbid, and hair too, gee whiz.
Yeah, forget it. Nah. You gotta
Yeah,
do your own. You gotta do your own damn hair.
basically, because they don't have anybody there to do your hair or do your makeup. It's just ridiculous. But yeah, that film,
Hey man,
you
somebody come
again,
up here and line up
beautiful,
in my
beautiful film.
fade. You not ain't nobody come and do that. They don't know what to
Yeah,
do.
well, now they have to because that's one of the points of the strike to make sure that everybody had the proper makeup and
yeah,
lighting.
yeah. They'll be very nice to know
Somebody
what you're
come line up
doing.
my fade. And the other thing is, with black people about
Mhm.
different dialects. Every black people from different parts of the country or different parts of the world don't always talk the same.
Yes,
And everybody who's in an African country don't speak in an English accent, a British accent.
exactly. I remember. I think it was Cranston was here talking about the fact that when they, maybe it was you and Cranston, James, that talked about the fact that in Black Panther, that the actors they basically put their foot down, so they weren't going to speak in English, British accents. That they had decided to use a South African dialect instead. And that was it. So they're not, the whole point is that colonialism didn't reach them. So why would they be speaking in British accents? It didn't make sense.
Which really pissed me off about Star Wars.
Yeah,
I said, why the hell are you talking in a British accent? Why
yeah,
is
it's
that?
supposed to be in a planet
I could take,
long so far
yeah,
away.
I could take one or two. I could take maybe one or
But
two
see,
people.
that was probably due to the fact that they shot most of the Star Wars at Pinewood Studios in England, and also the fact that I don't know why, I don't understand it, but normally it's a case of, you ever notice, besides Star Wars, any other big budget movie, especially if it's like horror, science fiction, the
Mhm.
bad guys speak in English accents,
That's
and the heroes, so to speak, have regular American accents. I
Don't make any
always found that
sense.
strange.
that's from the old from way back when the studio systems were super big because they would always bring over the British folks to play the bad guys because they
Hmm.
were always one. Okay, we got these from the American Revolution film that just wrapped, so let's put them all as bad guys in this one.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
don't make
And
sense.
so,
That's like,
well, I
whenever you
think Lucas
see,
was trying to recreate that feel.
Or
Plus,
maybe it was just cheap and just
plus,
said, let's bring in local actors.
I also think that when it came to filming in England, it might have been something where the English union.
Union wise, they might have required it too. You got to think about that as well.
Yeah,
well, well,
that's what I was going to say. That a certain
Mhm.
percentage, it had to be a certain percentage of English actors
Hmm.
in union wise.
but what about every time you hear like you see a Cleopatra film or you see a film from Greek or Roman times, the British are there. They were the people that were conquered by the Greek and Romans.
Yeah.
So why would the Greek and Roman be speaking in a British accent?
Now again, it's probably
Yeah.
union
Mhm.
rules. Just like with the spaghetti westerns and the
Mhm.
Euro horror pictures of the early '60s. A certain percentage of those actors had to be either Spanish or German.
Mhm.
So it's
Yeah.
probably a union thing.
I
Canada
don't
has
know.
the same. Canada has the same rule, and
It's like
France has the same rule.
it's like a
That's why in the
bullshit rule.
TV, yeah, in the TV film, TV series Highlander was all shot mostly in Paris and in France. So, was it what 20? At least 25% of the actors had to be French, and the French also put in for some weird reason that they wanted any guest stars to be rock and roll people for some
What?
reason.
Really?
Yeah, it was really weird. I sat and talked with the producers about it for a while.
It
Yeah,
sound like
that was one of the French. That was one of the terms that France gave them to shoot over there.
it sound like bullshit rule. Number one, it's like a
It
bullshit
probably
rule.
was.
And number two, 25% don't mean every goddamn body. Okay, so if you got 25%, that my math says 1 out of 4, not 4 out of 4. And so you got a movie where everybody is speaking in a British accent. Especially
Now
like
is
Star
it what as
Wars.
it,
And,
no,
and
Star
Yeah.
Wars, not
It's
everybody.
also to figure that
so, and the only
it doesn't
person who's
really
not
say
speaking
that,
in the British accent
but
is
but
like
they say
Mark
at
Hamill
least.
and James L. Jones.
And Carrie Fisher and
The American people didn't speak with British accents.
no,
But
and a
most of
lot of
everybody
some
has a
of the
British accent.
aliens didn't
Yeah,
either.
of course you got Peter Cushing and you got what's the name, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and
Yes.
they speak in a bit, but it seems like a lot. So either it's a whole lot of people or British actors with a whole lot of goddamn lines. That sounds
Yeah.
like.
And see another thing. I don't know if you notice. You have a certain percentage, as small as it may be,
Mhm.
of American actors that are based in England. So half the time, if like okay, like Full Metal Jacket, right?
Mhm.
If you remember, there was like a colonel that was in it, and I think he came down in a helicopter, and he was really chewing the soldiers out. That I forget his name. That's an American actor that lives and works in England. Okay, because if you see a lot of British BBC productions, he'll pop up in a part. Just like with Captain Scarlet, the actor that played Captain Blue, he stayed in England. That dude
Mhm.
never came back to America. In fact, you could also see him in another Gary Anderson show, UFO.
Mhm.
Oh, Ed Bishop is his name. Ed Bishop. Yeah. So
So he never came back.
he never came back. He stayed in England. Anytime they needed an American, they would get him.
That's
He was,
smart. That's smart because then a lot of times they need somebody with that accent.
yeah.
You
A
know.
lot of people don't know that which because I get the two confused. You have Vonetta McGee and Lynette
Yeah. Okay.
McGee. Okay,
Yeah.
I think it was Lynette. She
Mhm.
did a lot of work in Italy and Spain before she came back to America.
I did not know that.
Yeah, she. Oh, that's another thing with spaghetti westerns. A lot of if you was an American actor and you wanted a quick paycheck, go do a spaghetti western. Lola
Yeah,
Falana, I mean Jim Brown, Richard
Penelope
Pryor.
Penelope was slated to be in an Italian movie.
Yeah. When I was very young, and I was
But
still in
some
Europe.
reason chose for some reason chose not to. I don't know. I don't understand.
Yeah, because the whole concept of this film was supposed to be like a Escape from New York type of film that they were filming in Italy, And I'm like, yeah, this is when I was a young woman. I was in college. And I was like, yeah, but in my lifetime, I'm looking on the long road of like practicing law or being a judge or some crap like that. And then I'll be out, trying to run for office to be a judge or something. It's like, well, look at this, what we found.
But little did you
Just
know,
out of breath, you
little did
know.
you know that would no longer matter. You
Yeah,
know
who
what?
knew? Who knew? Who knew,
Yeah.
I would have
right?
been all
Who
up in that.
knew that
I
20
would have been
years,
all up in
10,
that side
yeah,
of the
years
movie.
later,
It-
that none of
it-
that would matter, huh?
what year was this?
Oh, 1983? 83?
Was it Warriors of the Wasteland?
Don't remember. I don't remember. I was just like, you know, can't can't
I
do
I,
that.
I mean, cause it's that's Italian sci-fi Escape from New York movie
Yeah,
with Fred Williamson,
yeah, I could remember because
and it came out right around that time.
yeah, because there was these black guys who were there in Italy at the time, and they were trying to conscript us because they needed some women, some black girls to do it. And I was like, it's like on one hand, I was saying, yeah, it might be fun to do because these guys are cool and I like them. But it's like, man, I'm not trying to be an actor.
I
I'm
would
trying to,
definitely have done it.
yeah, I'm trying to be in a
I would definitely.
profession.
I would put on a wig and done it. I would have been
I
Medea, Medea,
wish I'd known you
Italian
back
Medea.
then and you could have convinced me to do it. And we would have done it. And it would have been something, it's our little secret.
Listen, especially these days,
I know.
it wouldn't matter because if we
Remember?
if we have George Santos running around,
Yeah. What is the
Yeah,
name of
exactly.
that? Parks and Recreation
I
with a
definitely
guy,
would have done it.
Tom, what's his name? Tom Haverford. What did you name? Tom Haverford. And they said, why is your name
Yeah,
Tom? It said, look, if I had known that the president would be like Barack Hussein Obama, I would have changed my name. It was
yeah.
like,
You never
who
know
knew
what's
that
gonna
was going
happen
to
with that name.
happen? And I wouldn't have
I
changed
would
my
definitely.
name. So it's funny that, that type of thing. Yeah. Yeah. I had to look
But
that
you
up
know,
to see what it looked like.
but the other thing is too. I get this. There's a rule you got to use British actors and French actors, but nobody said they had to speak British in a British accent.
That's true.
So just because you use, I mean, you see the movie.
let it
What's the?
go, man. Let
No,
it
no, wait a minute. I
go.
got what. You saw the movie. What's the name of the show? Penelope, based in Louisiana
Oh,
on
never mind. I thought you
HBO.
were Pitt. The
The
guy was in
vampire
Pitt.
show.
The vampire show?
No, in the British in the what is it? True Blood.
True Blood, yeah. Oh yeah. Oh my gosh.
True Blood.
They were so
True
terrible.
Blood. There was a
Only
bunch of
one person in the entire cast
there were a bunch of
spoke with a
British
proper accent. One person.
there were a bunch of British actors.
Yeah. And then
Yeah,
only one
they
of them
didn't
has
speak no British accent though. I'm
right.
just saying.
One of them did the English accent, American accent very well. The only person that did the proper Cajun accent was, I think he may have been from there or somewhere abouts, because he's the only person who did the Cajun accent correctly. They had this black woman on there. She's the one who's in Queen Sugar, Rutina Wesley. She was
Mhm.
horrible. I mean, if you're going to play somebody that is from, uh, Louisiana, go there and listen to the people speak. She
Wow,
sounded like somebody from Mama's Family with that
that's
accent she was using. It was horrible.
yeah,
And right, and,
yeah, because for a while back in the day, it seemed like the only American accent a British actor could do was a Southern accent.
But there's
Okay,
even variations of that. Are you from Alabama? Are you from Georgia? Are you from Florida? Are you
exactly.
from
Yeah,
Louisiana?
yeah.
yeah, in Louisiana,
They
yeah,
would do a straight up corny
yeah,
Southern accent,
yes.
and now I guess they've gotten a little better because there's an actor. His name is Graham. He played a mafioso in The Irishman,
Mhm,
and I was surprised to find out he was British. I had to give him credit.
mhm.
He did a good job. So yeah, it's it's crazy. But yeah, again, with certain countries, certain productions, yeah, they have stipulations. You know, they have stipulations. Um, another scene, I would say, none for none, that it just gets me is the scene from Apocalypse Now when they attack the Viet Cong village.
Mhm.
You know, and the thing about the thing about that made that scene so tight with the helicopters and everything is that they hired a special second unit special effects director that had did a lot of James Bond movies.
Mm.
You know.
No, I think that we say like Apocalypse Now. It reminded me like that scene in Platoon when you have the character, the Willem Dafoe character playing, he's running out of the jungle
Hmm.
and he's being chased, down, and because the one guy, I don't know what his rank was, but was saying, oh, he died, he's dead, he's died. And
Yeah,
everybody thought he
Tom
died.
Burns. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, Tom Berenger, yeah. So but then you see him, the helicopter's taking off and he's running. And they were saying that in that scene, that death scene, that if you notice, he's shot, but there's no blood. They said the thing misfired and it didn't, the bullet thing didn't, so you didn't see the blood when they actually shot him. But I
Mm,
think Oliver Stone said that the impact of doing it without the blood was so much better.
yeah.
He kept it, and he said that he didn't think doing it again and having the blood to it would have added anything. So that's how they actually put it on film without it, because it was supposed to shoot explode and thing. But I think he's right, because then we would have been looking at the horror of the blood
Hmm.
instead of this death. This guy is he's the shooting is falling, and he could have made it, but he didn't because someone made certain that that didn't happen. So it's so the whole thing, the betrayal, all of it. You see more of that, and we're not concentrating on the blood. We're concentrating on, oh my God,
How yeah,
yeah,
we're concentrating how fucked up this
yeah,
Prince
yeah,
Tom Berenger's character is.
yeah. It's oh
And
my,
and that's funny because you think about it, how many iconic scenes were iconic because of mistakes,
that's true too.
you know?
Scenes that weren't scripted that way, or somebody added a different line, or so that it
Right.
was unscripted, iconic and unscripted.
The,
You
the
got
Uh,
the only thing that comes to mind is
mm,
the fight scene with Spencer Tracy and Ernest Borgnine in Bad Day at Black Rock, where they're fighting
mm,
in the restaurant bar, and it gets to the point where Ernest Borgnine looks just so out of it,
mm,
like Spencer Tracy really beat his ass. But come to find out, they did that scene over and over and over
wow,
again. And they said by the time they did the last take, both of them were just totally exhausted, especially
mm,
Ernest Borgnine. So when he's like punch drunk
weaving,
and
yeah,
rocking and
mm,
weaving, no, his ass is tired. You know what I'm saying?
for
So
real.
yeah, and that's another thing. Sometimes you have scenes where actors actually get hurt. Look at Margaret Hamilton in The Wizard of Oz. You know, when
Really.
she at the yeah, at when she first appears and then she disappears in the puff of smoke, he actually got burnt.
mhm.
And they had to stop production for like I think 3 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, because she got
Um,
burnt, and I also think she hit her head on the side of the trap
oh
door.
my
Yeah,
God.
and the makeup made she broke out and had some. I think it gave her cancer at the long run. I know it did Buddy Epps
Yeah,
and
it was
them,
crazy.
But
Yeah,
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 the makeup gave her cancer.
yeah. And so that, and then there's a part in Django where I think what is his name? The what's his name?
DiCaprio.
DiCaprio.
Hmm.
He, I think he breaks a glass or slams something down on
Hmm.
the table, and he actually cut himself real
Oh
bad.
my goodness.
But he just kept filming the scene. He didn't say ouch and stop. Whoa, no, he just
Hmm.
continued with
Kept
this.
going. I want to get done. I
Yeah,
want to leave. I want to go home. I'm tired.
you know, Christopher Lee in the in the Mummy. He caught Christopher Lee, for according to the story, he was catching hell. Okay,
Why?
cause the Mummy wrappings were a little bit too tight. He was stiff. Then I think at one point, I think it caught fire, and then he
Wow.
dislocated his shoulder, and
Wow.
yeah. So it's just funny how sometimes you have scenes that they're iconic scenes, but
Yeah.
the
Well, the
Hmm.
most iconic scene that wasn't scripted was Sidney Poitier slapping back um in the heat of the night. That
ah, yeah,
wasn't in the original script. He just he's like, no, the black man would, had enough, and he would have hit him back.
yeah, yeah. That's called the slap heard around the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
I.
also, it's
Mhm.
not as major a scene, but in TV, Doctor Who, when Capaldi, I can't remember numbers right now. Capaldi's playing the Doctor, and he takes his companion back to the original Easter. And she said, "Oh, what's this big crowd here?" He's like, "Oh, they're just killing Jesus." And she looks at him like, "What?" So she's looking, trying to find, and it's a black young lady playing the companion. She's looking all over for. She goes, "I don't see Jesus." He goes, "There he is, the one that's holding that." He goes, "But he's brown." And all Capaldi does is,
Yes.
I know that there was more dialogue written, but all he had to do was,
Say, yeah, look around you. See all the people around us. See what they look like. See what he looks like. There you go. So that's the thing. So yeah, that's funny. All right, guys. I'm looking at the clock, and it's time
I
for
got
us
one. I got
to
one more.
wrap it up. So let's go
I
ahead
got
with your.
one more
Sure,
scene.
sure.
The latest Doctor Who, not the latest episode, episode 2. So it's been a week ago. They go to 1952 Miami, and he says, we landed, we got all dressed up for nothing because it's 1952 Miami, and his companion is Indian descent. She has no idea what that means until they go to the diner, and he goes, we'd like to talk if you don't mind us staying here. And she just like, there's nobody here. I'm not going to tell, do what you need to do. And she's looking at him like, what? And she's trying to explain. It's 1952 in Miami. You're considered black here. It wasn't the best place for us. And she's like, but, 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 how? What? And you could tell she's trying to process it. And he's like, honey, he goes, you can change it. He goes, America has to go through this. They have to realize that the skin color doesn't matter. Until then, I'm going to do the job I need to do and let them let them run it. And I'm going to shine and do my job. Our job is to solve the mystery, not to change the country right now.
Mm.
So I thought that was an interesting touch because it's the first time they've had to deal with a black man in the past. And his companion's also dark. She's considered Caribbean whenever they go into the past.
Mm.
They can't quite place her English accent. And she's dark skinned, so she must be Caribbean.
And
It was this
unfortunately,
from
you
India.
can't change history.
Yeah,
Yeah.
her family's from India. And
I didn't know that she was from
Chakuti,
India.
Chakuti's from, I can't remember which country, but he was raised in Scotland. So every once in a while he slips into a Scottish accent. But she's like, America.
They
It's
would
one
just
of the
like
6
repeat.
points.
They would have
Yeah,
said that they're all Jamaican. That's the end. Goodbye.
or
Or the
Cuban.
Guyana. Or Guyana.
Yeah. So I thought those so far are my very iconic scenes that where people recognize the situation and how they handled it.
Mhm.
Let's put it that way.
Cool. All right, y'all. Like I said, like we're sliding down. Now, this is the 27th of April. So that means the next time we see you all, it will be the merry month of May. Um, I know that we have a more springtime type stuff that we're going to discuss. Um, especially having finished up religion things. Also, the Pope having died like the day after Easter. That was a thing this year that we did lose the Pope. You know, so that was you know very interesting. We had different reactions throughout my family. We're Catholic, so we had very different reactions about how we felt about this papacy and what is going to be in store for us, in the coming months, as they gather, they're going to have to elect another pope. So I mean, it's all up in the air now. And the world is a crazy place. I'm hoping that we get a little bit more progressive pope, as opposed to what we had, previous the Pope Benedict, gee whiz.
But
So
people thought that this pope was progressive,
he
and
is
I
progressive.
don't.
He is
I mean,
more
compared to
progressive than those who came before him.
Yeah.
yeah, and that's to me that's like, well, you know what? I'm gonna let that go.
Yeah.
That's another conversation.
Yes, we can have our next week our favorite religious films. There are people that watch religious films here, right?
I
I mean, come on, there's several religious films out there, right?
know. I just think they're all looking back now. Never mind. We'll talk about
Yeah,
that next week.
yeah.
Okay.
Why we think religious films miss the mark? Something because I think a lot of them miss the mark. All right, let's think about it. Let's think about it. Okay, birthdays, celebrations, holidays that we want to mention before we hit next week.
May
Anybody?
1st is my sister-in-law's birthday. I wish her a
Happy
very happy birthday. And Otto, I'm sorry you're not on any of my social media, so I didn't get to send my usual birthday greetings. So, but happy belated birthday.
Yeah.
birthday.
Happy
Well, thank you
belated.
very much.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a quiet day, and like I said, like Penelope said, nobody bothered me or sent me any happy birthday wishes, which was perfect.
Which is because that's what he demanded. Okay, it wasn't like nobody did it. It's like he put out, this blast to everyone: do not send gifts, do not send greetings, do not. I just want calm, quiet, and so spend this day reflecting and you know be introspective for yourself. Do something for yourself.
Well, I usually send things like 52 weeks of health and all of that stuff. That's my wish
Yeah,
blessings to everyone on their birthday.
yeah. He wanted everybody to do that for themselves on his birthday. Do not send him anything.
My
Just do it
birthday
for yourself.
wish. My birthday wish.
Yep. Okay.
That's
There we
that's
go.
similar to mine. Mine is always that I have a do not disturb sign on my forehead. Leave
Yep.
me alone.
Yep. 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 Because all the thing is, it's really work. In the old days, it was a lot easier, in my opinion, because okay, you get your mom and your sisters and brothers and friends and everybody happy birthday. But then we go online, everybody's giving happy birthday all day long. Okay, well, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you and you.
Thank you. I
So I
like
would
you,
get thank
and
you. Yeah.
I like that. I
And it's,
thanked you,
oh my gosh, it's like all day
and
long.
I love
And
that you
now I
liked.
just I wait until the end of the day,
I know. It's like,
until
damn,
midnight. And
damn,
then I
yeah.
thank everybody at midnight, because if you keep going down, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You'll
Oh,
be there all day with that.
Yeah, yeah,
whole damn day.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I used to wait until 7 a.m. because I knew that's when the last American time zone crossed over midnight. And then I
Yeah,
just put one big post. Hey, thank you all for the wishes.
right. So I mean, I used to try to keep up. I gave up. It is just too much. So yeah, that's the new birthday etiquette now. I guess we have to deal with on social media. But I don't know if we have any other major holidays or minor holidays or anything coming up within this next week. But if we do, then I'll say something.
May Day, Labor Day everywhere else in the world. So
Mhm.
if you know somebody who works not in the United States and works hard for their money, wish them happy Labor Day.
Happy Labor Day. Happy May Day for all you all. All right,
Man,
y'all. Well,
it's supposed to be a
mhm.
big rally down on 14th Street for May Day.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. People have woken up.
Let's see.
That's another conversation.
Let's see. Yeah. All right. Everybody have a wonderful remainder of your weekend. Have a really productive next week, and we'll see you right here. What is it? Noon 30 and 1:30 and 10:30 here in the Otherhood. Take care of yourselves. Have a wonderful weekend. Good night. Goodbye. Good day.
Have a great weekend.